Greetings from Mountain Boatworks on Monday, February 11, 2019. Yes, the view here is somewhat different than what we're experiencing with upwards of 18 to 20 inches of snow on its way here. This particular video that we are copying from introduced you to the eagle, who lived her entire existence at the Adirondack camp on Lake George, New York. She's a 1937 20-foot LOA Lyman runabout. What's intriguing is that she is planked in mahogany, we now know, because we have removed everything from the boat, all the hardware, all the seating, the engine box and everything, and we'll see all of that just a moment. And I've been spending the last little while stripping black paint off the hull sides. So let's go see what she looks like now. Well, that was sunny October, and now we're into a very snowy February 2019. We've jumped from 2018 to 2019. An eagle has landed in the shop. As you can see, I've pretty much stripped, at least first pass, her starboard side, save for her engine and gas tank. The cockpits and bilge are pretty much empty. We will be doing our level best to save the varnish on all of this interior bright work, but that's a story for another day. Right now, the story for today is, when was the last time you saw a 1937 lapstrake hull? Never mind if it is Lyman, Chris Craft, Thompson, Old Town, where not a single, and I'll repeat, not a single rib shows any age whatsoever anywhere inside the hull, be it the hull sides or down in the bilge. These in this area directly beneath the helm station are certainly dirty, but there's no rot, no sign of wear, no sign of deterioration. That said, one of our goals, because she is or was a camp boat and the kids frolicked on her all summer, every summer, while she was in service at Camp Adirondack, our goal was on the decks and the coamings, covering boards, and what there is of an aft deck. There really is not an aft deck on this boat. Our goal was to at least attempt sanding this varnish flat and touching up a few areas and then revarnishing it. But as we took her apart, she has some major issues that really must be addressed. We can't just sweep these under the proverbial rug. I don't know if this video camera can pick this up, but her deck planking is pretty seriously cupped, particularly aft of the windshield. The varnish on the coamings might be savable, but then we come back to this bridge between the engine compartment and actually the middle cockpit, because there's seating on each side of the engine, and the aft cockpit, which faces aft. We run into some major, and I would say, I'm sorry about that, irretrievable varnish deterioration. So we will meet with her owner this coming weekend, or at least very soon. And as far as we know, this lettering is original to the boat. It's hand painted, I can say that. It does have varnish on it. And wouldn't it be nice, since this varnish is in pretty good shape, we have some issues of some plank separation here and just on the port side of the vent down there. But our challenge will be this transition from horizontal, because this we must strip, we don't really have a choice, and this face. When we put 20 coats of varnish up here and additional varnish here, our challenge will be to not create a ridge over this. But I know Joe and RJ are not cheering for the possibility and for the challenge, but sometimes preservation means just that, preserving what's there to the best of your abilities. No, it won't be a perfect showboat, but her owner does not plan to use her as a trailer queen showboat. She's going to be in the water on Lake George, frolicking as she has since 1937. So if we can save this, wouldn't that be nice? Late last week, RJ and I released everything that was inside this boat, save for her gray marine Phantom flathead 6 engine, her fuel tank, which sits directly behind the helm station, her gauges, her steering wheel, etc. But everything else is now stored in various places around the shop. Starting late last week and continuing today, I've been engaged in the happy task of stripping all that black paint off her hull sides. Our goal for this preservation project, since Eagle was a camp boat for her entire life, is to preserve her as much as we can without dramatically changing her. We had one goal of saving all of the varnish on her decks, sanding it flat and adding new layers. But then, as RJ and I worked, we realized that doing that, at least to the coaming, the decks, the covering boards, etc., is just not in the cards. Why? Because in several places, here's one, the varnish has failed all the way to the wood. There's no way we can just sand that flat and apply more varnish on top. Every one of those areas where the varnish has failed, it's taken the, here we can see right here, it just flakes off. It's taken the stain with it. So while we believe that the condition of her seating components, her engine box, essentially her interior brightwork, is savable, the horizontal surfaces, the coamings, must be stripped and sanded smooth. We have a fair amount of cupping in the foredeck planking. Notice that this model was quite interesting in that there is no aft deck to speak of. The aft compartment in this triple cockpit 20-foot Lyman faces aft. And my pleasure has been to reach for the can of circa 1850, my Sandvik scraper, my Baco blades, and just have so much fun removing what seems to be endless layers of varnish. Removing what seems to be just endless layers of black paint and a very aggressive primer that had been applied. So let's take a look at how we're going about this. Several people have asked for a repeat demonstration. Remove paint with the circa 1850. Now, to get to this point, I applied heavy coats of the circa 1850 using some very high-tech tools, chip brushes, plastic paint pails. I would apply in this entire section a heavy coat, get to the transom, and come right back and start again. I have now applied the stripper to this 3 times, just globbing more on top of what's already there, letting it work for 15 to 20 minutes, and coming back and applying more on top of this ugly bubbling material. The reason for that is that the stripper is designed to work, to liquefy paint, but it can't liquefy paint if you don't let it work into the layers. So, as you can see, we are now at a point where scraping the black paint down to the strakes, the bare wood, is relatively straightforward, relative to sitting in a comfortable chair with a beer. That'd be more straightforward. And we get down to the bare wood. The 3 of us were remarking to one another when we brought the Eagle in and lifted her on straps and put her on these boat dollies. But my God, she seemed so heavy. Way too heavy. Lymans, in our experience, just aren't this heavy. Well, now I know why. This boat is totally planked in mahogany. And this is the very dense, old-growth mahogany that was available to Lyman, Chris Craft, Hacker, Garwood, and the others in the 1930s. It is extremely close-grained. The other interesting reality with this boat is look at the narrow spacing of the copper fasteners. Unlike later Lymans and other similar lapstrake boats, which are typically clench nailed from waterline to gunnel, this boat, save for the last course of strakes, is riveted. Every one of these is a copper nail that was driven through, a collar is put on, the collar hammer is applied, and every single one of these is riveted. The beautiful thing is that I've now completed the starboard side. I have yet to find a single example of a rivet that we'll have to reset. These things are as tight as can be, plenty tight as they are. We're not going to go about taking punches and other tools to try to drive some of these. In the write-up to this video, be sure to take a look at the links. I found a really good guide to clenching and riveting wood boats, whether it's a Lyman lapstrake, a Chris Craft sea skiff, or your own design and creation. It's a really nice, very succinct, step-by-step guide to doing this right. It has excellent illustrations, and I will put the link in the write-up. As I always do, I try with the write-ups to give you access to the materials and to sources and to guidance that go beyond what I can offer in a short video like this. So here we are on February 11, 2019 with our 1937 20-foot Lyman runabout, the Eagle. We'll follow her from this point through her preservation, and our goal is to have her on the water sometime next summer. Let's hope we can get there in time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now from Mountain Boatworks.